Pakistani cuisine definitely takes the cake on this one. Where is that money going, people? We need to find out. Most beautiful kids in the entire world. They're the cutest little things ever. I am obsessed. Hi guys! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then my name is Alicia. And if you've seen my previous videos, then thank you for sticking around. So in today's video, I'm back with another interesting topic, which is Pakistan versus Netherlands. I have lived in Pakistan my entire life and I've lived in Netherlands only 3 months, and the differences are uncountable. Each have their own pros and cons, and I'm here to explain those all. So let's dive right into the video. So I've made a list of 7 points, and today I will be talking about those one by one. So first point on the list for me is the food. As in any international who moves to Netherlands, food has to be the first important thing that they notice right off the bat, that it's very different. Especially for someone who comes from like Asian countries, and more importantly, if you're from like somewhere in the subcontinent, our foods are very different from what you could find here, because our foods are mostly spicy and they have a lot of flavor, whereas people here, in fact all over Europe, people just generally eat food with like less spices. In Pakistan, if your food doesn't has like 30 different kinds of spices, your meal is not ready. On the plus side, when I came here and I couldn't find the desi food, it also gave me an opportunity to explore different cuisines. It still feels like I'm on a bit of a food adventure. So food has to be one of the biggest differences between both the countries, and to be honest, anyone who moves here would actually miss their own country's cuisine. So if anyone has tried that biryani, that mutton korma, and all those delicious Pakistani food, you can vouch for me that yes, Pakistani cuisine definitely takes the cake on this one. Second point on the list is weather. I cannot point out how different the weathers are in both the countries. Pakistan being closer to the equator, it just stays generally warm throughout the year. Even the winters are not that cold. But on the other hand, in Netherlands, it just stays colder throughout the year. In Pakistan, the summers are really warm, like the sun is out all the time. You want to go out, you would have to turn on the AC in your car. And if you leave the car in the sun, then you would have to like leave the doors open for a while, let the heat out. Only then you can sit in the car, because it gets extremely hot in the summers. Whereas here, it's nice. Like summers here are just amazing. They're like the perfect kind of summers that you just want to enjoy, you just want to have fun in. I just love the summers here. I hated the summers in Pakistan. I love the summers here. Now let's talk about the winters. Since it is winters here, and so far I'm not very much liking the weather here. I find the winters here really horrible. No offense, but I kind of miss the winters back home. It would get colder, but then the sun would be out all the time. So when you're feeling cold, you can just lie down in the sun and soak up that sun and that vitamin D. And it's just the best feeling in the world while you get to munch on those delicious oranges. Here, you can enjoy the oranges, but in a very gloomy, misty, rainy, indoory, bedroom of your house. So both the countries have amazing weather, just depending on which season you are in which country. So if you feel like traveling, make sure that you're traveling around Europe in summers, but if it's winters, then make sure that you check out Pakistan in winters, because summers are not exactly the best weather to travel around in Pakistan, because the summers there can get really hot. So the third point on the list is the area. Not exactly area, but like the land type of both the countries. It's very different. Pakistan is definitely much bigger than Netherlands, so it tends to have all different like land types in one country, whereas Netherlands is really small, so it's just mostly flat. But since Pakistan is bigger, we also get to have the mountains up north, we get to have the beach at the bottom in the south near Karachi. Then our capital is actually a plateau. We have few deserts as well. So no, of course Pakistan is not as big as Russia or China, but it's still big enough comparatively. So you get different type of land variations in Pakistan. And since Netherlands is mostly flat, so I think that also impacts the weather, because even if it's summers in Pakistan, you can go to those mountain and hilly areas and it's gonna be colder. You can even find like snow even in summers in June and July, but depends like where you are going. If you're going really up north, it stays cold and just snowy all around here. But in Netherlands, you get to enjoy the weather 4 seasons all over the country. You don't have to go to like a specific area to enjoy the weather. If it's summers, it's gonna be summers all over the country, same kind of weather. If it's winters, it's gonna be winters all over the country, same kind of weather. So both the countries have their own perks, but I think it's the landmass of the country which makes Pakistan have more variations as compared to Netherlands. And I feel like I'm lucky enough to enjoy both the variations. Since Pakistan is a bigger country, you can find like a lot of cultural variation here, which is mostly just by the Pakistani people. But on the other hand, in Netherlands, you can also find this different culture variation, but not because it's by the Dutch people, it's because they have a lot more immigrants in Netherlands. You do not see a lot of immigrants in Pakistan, but you do see a lot of immigrants in Netherlands, and along with immigrants, they bring their own culture, so you can also see culture here. Like, you can see a lot of Indian people, you can see a lot of Turkish people here, people from all over Europe, Russia, everybody bringing their own little part of the culture into the society. So you can see and meet many different people from different cultures. So that's also really eye-opening. I enjoyed that here. Bigger cities in both the countries offer a lot of cultural variation. So each of the countries have their very own peculiar cultural values and just cultural beauty. The fourth point on the list is the people. So the people of the both countries are apparently look-wise very different. Pakistanis are usually tan-skinned, they mostly have black hair, and they're not very tall. They're just like medium height, especially compared to the Dutch people. Whereas on the other hand, Dutch people are usually white-skinned, not usually, mostly. They are white-skinned. Most of the Dutch people have colored eyes, blue eyes specifically, and on top of that, they're mostly blonde. And Dutch kids are the most beautiful kids in the entire world. They're the cutest little things ever. I am obsessed. Okay, apart from the general appearance of the people of both the countries, there are some other differences as well. So Dutch people take up a little time to warm up, whereas Pakistani people would just, you know, make you feel at home right from the get-go. Like if you meet a Pakistani person in a train and you guys are going to the same destination, you would become BFFs in 15 minutes. Whereas with Dutch people, you have to have a few meetups go smoothly before they even start considering you friends. Okay, so the next thing on my list is something called expensive. I find Netherlands a little bit more expensive as compared to Pakistan, and there's a huge currency difference between both the countries. €1 is actually equals to 200 Pakistani rupees. So you see the difference. You would understand why I think that Netherlands is expensive for me, because if I'm buying something that is for €1, it basically means that I'm paying 200 rupees. So if it's a pack of chips, in my head, I feel like, oh my god, this packet is actually for 200 rupees. It's so expensive. Where in Pakistan, you can just get it for 50 rupees, you know? And now you might think, oh my god, for 50 rupees, a pack of chips. Because 50 rupees here would mean, let's say, like 50 cents, you know? So you see the difference. Now let's talk about clothing and technology. So technology basically has same prices in both the countries because it's just brands, you know? But clothing, I think that clothing here is more expensive. It's like 10 times more expensive than it is in Pakistan, probably because Pakistan actually makes cotton and, you know, thread and just makes everything from scratch. So we have our home industry for making clothes, whereas most of the clothes that I buy from stores, like you can go to Zara, you can go to Mango, Gucci, Versace, even like high-end stores, you would find on their name tags that the clothes are either made in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Pakistan. So I think this is also the reason why the clothes are here so expensive, because they're outsourced, whereas in Pakistan, most of the clothes are either made in Pakistan or China, so they're just generally more affordable. So for example, if I'm buying a sweater here for €20, it would mean that I could get the same sweater in Pakistan for let's say 1,000 rupees. Now you might be wondering, like, 1,000 rupees, but €20 in Pakistani currency is actually 4,000 rupees. So do you see, like, I could pay 1,000 rupees to buy the same sweater in Pakistan, whereas I have to pay 4,000 in Netherlands to buy the same sweater. I just find that Netherlands is a little bit more expensive than Pakistan. Okay, so while we're talking about expensive things, this leads me to my next point, which is taxation system. So you're paying taxes basically on everything in both the countries, even if you're buying a water bottle. So this basically means that there would be a lot of taxes collected in both the countries, which in the long run could be used in the progress of the countries. But here's the catch. You can see that progress in Netherlands, but you cannot see that progress in Pakistan. And I don't know why that is. Somehow on the way from getting the taxes collected to actually putting them to the good use, money gets lost in Pakistan. We don't know where that goes. But here you can actually see the taxes being put to good use. Like everything here is just so perfect. Like the dog parks are always full of dog food, and everything here is just so perfect. Like the dog parks are always full of dog food and that like disposable bags. The roads are perfect. Like the cleaning system here is amazing. So this is where the taxes are going in Netherlands. But where are our taxes in Pakistan, guys? Like, where is that money going, people? We need to find out. Okay, while we're talking about taxes, there's another thing that I feel like is worth mentioning, insurance systems and healthcare systems. So it's absolutely very different in both the countries. Here in Netherlands, it's mandatory for everyone to get an insurance, a health insurance. Whereas in Pakistan, nobody cares if you have an insurance or not. Whenever you get sick, you just go to a doctor, pay him the money, tell him your problem, and he would literally prescribe you a medicine, which you can just go buy from a pharmaceutical store. But here, you just have an insurance, so you just go to the doctor, tell them this is how you're feeling, he would write the medicine for you, and you can just buy it. So you don't have to really pay for it at the spot because your insurance covers that for you. But at the same time, I find it difficult, like, if I'm absolutely okay, why do I need to pay for the insurance? But at the same time, finding a good insurance is really expensive here, and you could go years without using that insurance, or where you just don't have to make an appointment at the doctor's office. Whereas in Pakistan, you're not forced to buy an insurance, so you can use that money for somewhere else. But then both of the situations have their own pros and cons. So the downside is that if in Netherlands there's an emergency situation, you just don't have to worry about, you know, having the money to get an emergency operation or something, or a surgery. But whereas if you're in Pakistan, then that's a little bit of a problem, because if you're like not that well off and an emergency happens and you need to go into a surgery, then you need to have like a lot of money to actually get that surgery. So both the situations have their own pros and cons. So let's just hope that we never have to go to the hospital. I hate going to the hospitals. I know that people from both the countries are very patriotic, and they really do not take it lightly if another person criticizes their country. So in this video, I did not mean to criticize anyone's country or offend or hurt your feelings. This is just my opinion, not like hard and fast differences. So don't come at me. This was just all light and fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below what do you think that might be an interesting difference between both the countries, what both the countries can improve, or what I forgot to mention between both the countries that is different or similar. I will be reading your comments. Until next time, bye!